Hi, welcome back to Chapters with Christian. Last week we were sharing the story from my Wierder-est School called Dr. Snow Has Got to Go. This is a new series that we've started where I'm going to share a book with you in a series, and then we'll talk about some of the other books that you could check out at the library. Either you can download them or you can come to the physical library and check them out, or you can have the courier system, you can pick them up at our curbside service. But let's get back to our story with from the series of My Wierder-est School by Dan Gutman, Dr. Snow Has Got to Go. We read half of the book last week, and where we stopped, they were doing experiments by swinging the syrup around his head. Do you remember that? And then it went off the edge, and they said they didn't think anyone was down there. Let's find out what happens the rest of our story. And remember, they're getting ready to do their big science fair too. The Great Egg Drop Challenge, Chapter 5. There was a table on the other side of the roof with a bunch of junk on it. Pieces of cloth, bubble wrap, feathers, string, straws, tape, cotton balls, rubber bands, toilet paper tubes, plastic bags, popsicle sticks, cardboard boxes, some styrofoam, and a big box of honey sugar bongos. Oh, and there was also 2 cartons of eggs. That was weird. Why is all this stuff up here? I asked Ryan. We're going to do a science project, said the snowman. I call it the Great Egg Drop Challenge. We're going to eat egg drop soup? Ryan asked. Yum. No, said the snowman. We're going to drop eggs off the roof. He was rubbing his hands together again, and a sure sign that he's crazy. Why is dropping eggs off the roof a science project? Asked Andrea. Well, said the snowman, if you drop an egg off the roof onto the sidewalk below, what do you think will happen? The egg will break, we all replied. Duh. Right, said the snowman. The sidewalk is much harder than the egg shell, so we need to think of a way to prevent the egg from breaking at the end of its fall. Well, how can we do that? Asked Alexa. There are lots of ways, said the snowman. Each of you is going to design a package using the things on this table to protect your egg from a fall. We'll record the results. Then we'll discuss which packages worked, which ones didn't, and why. That's why you'll learn about gravity, velocity, inertia, and acceleration. I didn't know what any of that stuff meant, but it didn't matter because throwing anything off a roof is cool. We all got to work figuring out ways to protect our eggs. Emily wrapped a bunch of rubber bands around her egg. When my egg hits the sidewalk, it will bounce, she said, but it won't break. Ryan put his egg in a little cardboard box and filled the box with feathers. The feathers will cushion my egg, he said, so it won't break when it hits the sidewalk. Michael put his egg inside a plastic bag and surrounded the egg with foam peanuts. My egg will move inside the bag when it hits the sidewalk, he said, but not enough to hit the hard surface and break. Andrea made a little parachute out of some cloth and string. Then she put her egg in a basket that hung below the parachute. If I can make my egg fall more slowly, she said, it won't crack when it hits the ground. Neil wrapped his egg in a bubble wrap and cotton balls. Alexia put her eggs inside a piece of styrofoam and taped it shut. I put my egg into the box of honey sugar bongos. That's my favorite cereal. The cereal has so much sugar on it, you might as well pour sugar right from a sugar bowl into your mouth. You all have such good ideas, said the snowman. I can see how some of you could become great scientists someday. Is there a prize for the student whose egg doesn't break? Asked little Miss I always want to win something. Yes, said the snowman. You get to bring your egg home with you. What if all the eggs break? Asked Emily. Then lunch will be scrambled eggs today, said the snowman. Are you ready? Ready we all, shouted. 10, 9, 8. The snowman started counting down. You're going to learn about Newton's first and second laws. Huh? We all said, which is also, huh? Backwards. 7, 6, 5, the snowman continued. An object at rest will remain at rest unless acted on by an unbalanced force. What? 4, 3, 2, said the snowman, and an object in motion continues in motion with the same speed and in the same direction unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. I had no idea what he was talking about. 1, 0, okay, let 'em fly! Bombs away! I shouted as I threw the box of honey sugar bongos off the roof. That's when the weirdest thing in the history of the world happened. There was a thud below and then a scream. Eek! We all rushed over the edge of the roof, and you'll never believe what we saw down on the sidewalk in front of the school. It was Mrs. Ella Mentry, the old lady who our school was named after. She was flat on her back. Help! She shouted. I'm under attack! Uh-oh, said the snowman. Dr. Snow and Mr. Docker went running down the stairs as fast as they could go. We all followed them. I was huffing and puffing and sweating and panting when we got down to the first floor. Then we ran out the front door of the school. Mrs. Mentry was still lying on the ground. Her eyes were closed, and she had pieces of egg all over her. Oh no, shouted Alexia. Ella Mentry is dead. We killed her, shouted Neil. Everybody was yelling and screaming and freaking out. But Mrs. Mentry wasn't dead, and we didn't kill her. I know that for sure because after a few seconds, her eyes opened. Are you okay, Mrs. Mentry? Asked Mr. Docker. No, I'm not okay, shouted Mrs. Mentry angrily. What idiot spread maple syrup all over the sidewalk? I think my leg may be broken. I was trying to teach the students about centripetal force, explained the snowman. There is a footnote here that says, my mom told me that too many eggs are bad for your health. Now, I see she was right. But putting maple syrup on the sidewalk, shouted Mrs. Mentry. But, said the snowman and Mr. Docker. I started giggling because they both said but, which sounds just like but, even though it only has one T. And what did you teach the students about throwing eggs off the roof? Shouted Mrs. Mentry as she removed a piece of eggshell from her face. Gravity, velocity, and acceleration. Isn't there some other way to teach those things? Shouted Mrs. Mentry. I got hit on the head with a box of honey sugar bongos. Everybody looked at me because they knew I threw the box of honey sugar bongos off the roof. I was wondering what happened to my egg. If Elementary's head was softer than the sidewalk, maybe my egg didn't crack when the box hit her on the head. But this didn't seem like the right time to open the box and find out. Why is it that every time I come to this school, I get attacked by flying food, shouted Elementary. But, said the snowman and Mr. Docker. That's it, said Mrs. Mentry. Get me out of here. I need to call my lawyer. This is the last straw. Huh? I didn't know we ran out of straws. What did straws have to do with anything anyway? But I didn't donate $1 million to the school so the students could throw food at me every time I visit, Mrs. Mentry shouted. I want my money back. But, they sure say but a lot. Chapter 6, Getting Dirt on Dr. Snow. Mrs. Mentry was really mad when all those eggs landed on her. We tried to pick the shells out of her clothes, but she was a gooey mess. I guess the yoke was on her. It looked like she was going to totally freak out, but you'll never believe who came running out of the school at that moment. It was Mr. Klutz, our principal. He has no hair at all. I mean, none. If they gave out prizes to people who had the least amount of hair, Mr. Klutz would win. I am so sorry, Mr. Klutz said to Mrs. Elementary. I want my money back, she barked as she brushed some eggshells off her dress. I slipped on maple syrup and was attacked by flying eggs. Take my name off the front of the building. You owe me $1 million. You're lucky I don't sue. Now, Mrs. Mentry, said Mr. Klutz. There. Grown-ups always say now, and there when they want to calm down an angry person. Nobody knows why. But I guess it must have worked because Mrs. Mentry calmed down. An ambulance came to take her to the hospital. Before it drove away, Mr. Klutz promised her that she would never get attacked by flying food again. He also invited her to be his special guest at the science fair. Please don't make us give back the $1 million, begged Mr. Klutz. We need that money. It's for the children. He was making a sad puppy dog face, so we knew he was really desperate. Footnote, if you're ever really desperate, just make a sad puppy dog face. Even grown-ups do it. It works every time. I'll think about it, Mrs. Mentry said. She was still mad. After that, he went inside for lunch. Everybody felt bad about what happened to Mrs. Elementary. I felt worse than anyone because I'm the one who hit her in the head with a box of honey sugar bongos. I wanted to go to Antarctica and live with the penguins. Nobody was talking much while we ate our peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. It was quiet in the vomitorium. After lunch, we went out for recess, but nobody was in the mood to play. What do you want to do? Ryan asked. I don't know, said Michael. What do you want to do? Let's play Talk Like Grown-ups, I suggested. Talk Like Grown-ups is one of my favorite games. All you have to do is talk like a grown-up, so it has the perfect name. You start, AJ, said Alexia. Nice weather we're having, I said. It's lovely, said Alexia. They say it may rain on Friday. How is your lawn? Asked Neil. Mine needs watering. I want more money, I said. You're fired, said Alexia. I need to lose 10 pounds, said Ryan, and my hair is falling out. If I don't get coffee, I'll die, said Michael. Do you want to play golf? Asked Alexia. Not now, I said. I have to read the newspaper. My back hurts, said Neil. My feet hurt, says Michael. Everything hurts, said Alexia. I need to trim my nose hair, I said. Man, talking like a grown-up is boring. I hope I never grow up and to be a grown-up. Little Miss Perfect and her crybaby friend Emily must have been listening because they came over to annoy us as usual. It's not nice to make fun of grown-ups, said Andrea. You'll be a grown-up someday, Arlo. No way, I insisted. Grown-ups are weird, said Ryan. Speaking of weird grown-ups, said Alexia, what's the deal with Dr. Snow? I don't trust that guy, I said. I still say he's crazy, and that frizzy psycho hair and those crazy eyes. I think he wants to take over the world. That's ridiculous, Arlo, said Andrea. Stop trying to scare Emily. I'm scared, said Emily. Maybe he had us attack Miss Mentry with eggs on purpose, Alexia suggested. Do you ever think of that? Maybe it wasn't a science project at all. Yeah, I told the group. That was just the beginning of his secret plan for worldwide domination. We've got to do something, shouted Emily, and then she ran away. Dr. Snow has got to go, I said. Then I got up and started chanting, Dr. Snow has got to go. Dr. Snow has got to go. I thought everybody was going to get up and start chanting with me, but nobody got up. Nobody started chanting. I hate when that happens. AJ, if what you say is true, said Alexia, there's only one thing we can do. What is that? We've got to get some dirt on Dr. Snow, Alexia told me. Why would we want to get dirt on him, I asked. Then he'd just be covered with dirt. Andrea rolled her eyes. Alexia means we should find out some bad things on Dr. Snow. Bad things that Dr. Snow did, said Andrea. Then we can blackmail him. What's blackmail? Asked Michael. That's what grown-ups do to people when they find out bad things about them, said Andrea. We should sneak around and stalk the snowman, said Neil. Maybe we can catch him red-handed doing bad things. Neil should get the Nobel Prize. That's a prize they give out to people who don't have bells. Sneaking around is cool. We snuck around the playground fence until we reached the back door of the school. Then we stuck inside like we were secret agents, hugging the walls, looking in both directions to make sure nobody was following us. We should be wearing night vision goggles, I whispered. Why? Asked Neil. It's daytime. Who cares? I replied. Night vision goggles are cool. We snuck up and down the hallways looking for the snowman, but we couldn't find him. He's probably hiding in a secret lab where he does his evil experiments, I whispered. We passed by the teacher's lounge. That's a room where no kids are allowed, but the teachers can get pedicures and play ping pong all day. I peeked through the little window in the door. That's when I saw him, the snowman. He was sitting all by himself. Psst, he's in here, I whispered. Okay, what's the plan? Whispered Alexia. This is the plan, I said. Then I yanked open the door and I burst into the teacher's lounge. Freeze, dirtbag, I shouted. That's what policemen always shout on TV when they sneak up on a bad guy. Nobody knows why. The snowman was completely surprised. He dropped his sandwich onto the floor. Aha, I shouted. We caught you red-handed, snowman. I beg your pardon, the snowman asked. I have one question for you, I told him. Do you have any bells? I have a doorbell at my house, said the snowman. Why do you ask? Just as I suspected, I said. You can't be a real scientist. They give the Nobel Prize to scientists who don't have bells. But you have a bell, so that proves that you're not a real scientist. You're a fake, a phony. Are you kids allowed to be in the teacher's lounge? Asked Dr. Snow. Shouldn't you be at recess? Stop trying to change the subject, Snowman, I barked. What are you doing in here? I was trying to eat my lunch, he replied, picking his sandwich up off the floor. Yeah, sure, I told him. That's what they all say. We know what you're up to, Snowman. You planned to tackle Mrs. Mentry so you could shut down the school. It's all part of your evil plan to take over the world. What? He said, but. We all started giggling because he said but with one T. Dr. Snow was just eating his lunch, Arlo, said Andrea. Now you're being ridiculous. Maybe so, but I still didn't trust him. Neither did Alexia. I got my eyes on you, Snowman, she said. That was weird. Why would you want to put your eye on somebody? That's kind of gross. Chapter 7, Galileo in the Library. So we still had to get some dirt on the snowman, but how? We need to play it cool, Alexia said. Let's just pretend everything is normal. The snowman will show his true colors, then we can nail him. Huh? What do colors have to do with anything? People talk funny. That afternoon, we had library class with Mrs. Rupee. We walked 1,100,000 miles to the media center, which used to be called the library before they changed the name. Nobody knows why. When we got to the media center, Mrs. Rupee wasn't there. Instead, there was some guy who looked a lot like Mrs. Rupee with a beard. She always pretended to be somebody else. One time she dressed up like Neil Armstrong. Mrs. Rupee is loopy. Why do you have a beard today, Mrs. Rupee? Ryan asked. Who's Mrs. Rupee? Said Mrs. Rupee. I'm Galileo, the famous 16th century scientist. Wait, I said. You only have one name? No, said Galileo. Galileo is just my first name. So what's your last name? Asked Andrea. Galilee, said Galileo. Your first name is Galileo and your last name is Galilee? Asked Michael. That's right, Galileo Galilei. It sounded so nice my parents made my name twice. I'm surprised you never heard of me. I discovered the moons of Jupiter and the rings of Saturn with my early telescope. I was the first person to see the craters on the moon. I'm from Italy. I like pizza, said Ryan. Everybody likes pizza, said Galileo. Hey, I hear you're going to have a science fair next week. Yes, said Andrea. Each of us has to make a science project. Well, you came to the right place, said Galileo. There are lots of books in the media center filled with the fun science projects for kids. Galileo passed out a bunch of books for us to look over. Oh, cool, said Neil. It says here that you can build a catapult with just a plastic spoon, some rubber bands, and popsicle sticks. It shoots marshmallows. That would make a great project for the science fair, said Galileo. You know, science is all about asking why questions. Why is the sky blue? Why do fish swim and birds fly? Can any of you think of any why question? Yeah, I said, why do we have to do a science project? Galileo passed out. He passed out pencils and paper so we could take notes and draw pictures of our science projects. I'm going to build a pasta rocket, said Ryan. It uses uncooked pasta, mouthwash, and yeast for fuel. I'm going to build a fizz inflator, said Michael. I just need to put baking soda and vinegar in a soda bottle and attach a balloon to the end to inflate it. The reaction makes carbon dioxide to inflate the balloon. I'm going to build an exploding lunch bag, said Alexa. You just take a Ziploc freezer bag, fill it with warm water, baking soda, and vinegar. I'm going to build a flying drone, I said. Drones are cool. I always wanted to have one of my own. I was drawing a picture of my drone when I got another great idea. I could attach some porky pork sausages to the bottom of my drone so it could deliver sausages by air. Then you wouldn't have to go to the supermarket when you're in the mood for pork sausages. It was genius. Footnote. Maybe doing a project with porky pork sausages would help me win the grand prize and make Andrea lose. What are you going to make your science project? What are you going to make your science project, Andrea? Asked Emily. Andrea was covering her worksheet with her hands so nobody could see it. I'm working on a secret science project, she said mysteriously. Ooh, what is it? Emily asked. If I told you, it wouldn't be a secret, Andrea replied. Andrea will do anything to win the grand prize of the science fair. She's afraid that one of us is going to try and steal her idea. What is her problem? We were all drawing pictures and making lists of materials where we were going to need for a science project, and you'll never believe who walked through the door at that moment. Nobody. You can't walk through a door. Doors are made of wood. But you'll never believe who walked through the doorway. It was the snowman. He was holding a machine that looked like a leaf blower. Dr. Snow, said Galileo, to what do we owe the pleasure of your company? That's grown-up talk for, what are you doing here? I wanted to see what projects the students were planning for the science fair, said the snowman. But first, take a look at my new invention. He pulled a rope and the engine on the leaf blower roared to life. It was loud. A blast of air shot out the end. Wow, we all said, which is Mom upside down. That's a cool leaf blower, Dr. Snow, said Andrea. Oh, it's not a leaf blower, said the snowman. I call it the birthday blower. It's a machine for blowing out birthday candles. You know how hard it is to blow out the last candle on your birthday cake? If you have a birthday blower, it blows the candles out for you. That is cool, I said, even though I didn't think it was all that cool. The snowman walked around the class and looked at what each of us were planning for the science fair. Neil described his rubber band-powered catapult that shoots marshmallows. Yes, 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 shouted the snowman. Ryan described his pasta rocket. Excellent, shouted the snowman. Alexia described her exploding Ziploc lunch bag. Perfect, shouted the snowman. Michael described his fizz inflator. Fascinating, shouted the snowman. I described my remote-controlled flying sausage delivery drone. Genius, shouted the snowman. The snowman loved all our science fair projects. Well, except for Andrea's secret project, of course. She wouldn't let him see what she was working on. Yes, 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 shouted the snowman, rubbing his hands together. This is going to be the greatest science fair in the history of science fairs. Chapter 8, final chapter. Welcome to the science fair. We spent the next week making our projects. My mom and dad helped me build my remote-controlled flying sausage delivery drone. It was the coolest. It had to be cooler than the secret lame project Andrea was working on. Finally, it was the day of the science fair. When I got to the school, there was electricity in the air. Well, not really. If there was electricity in the air, we would all get electrocuted. But all our parents and teachers were there. Galileo was there. The owner of Porky Pork Sausages, Peter Porky, was there. And of course, Mrs. Elementary was there. She was walking with crutches because she'd hurt her leg in the Great Egg Drop Challenge. The walls of the gym were covered with science posters and banners. Before the opening ceremony, we got to walk around it and look at all the science projects. One girl made a periscope out of a milk carton. Some boy made a hoverboard. Somebody else made fossils out of bread and gummy bears. A 5th grader used a lemon to make electricity. A 4th grader made a fountain out of soda and Mentos. Somebody made a rotten egg stink bomb. It was cool. There were solar ovens, weather stations, balloon rockets, levitating magnets, exploding toothpaste, and a glow-in-the-dark slime. Kids had created projects using Jell-O, excuse me, Jell-O paper airplanes, silly putty, invisible ink, Play-Doh, lava lamps, and walkie-talkies. Yes, 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 the snowman said as he walked around the gym. I love it! Andrea's project was a big secret, but now she had to show everybody what it was. She pulled a sheet off the table, and you'll never believe in 1,100,000 years what she had under there. It was a volcano. I made it out of paper mache, Andrea announced. When it erupts, lava will shoot out of it. Oh man, why didn't I think of that? Andrea was sure to win the grand prize for an erupting volcano. She always wins everything. Why can't a volcano erupt on Andrea's head? Everybody in the gym was buzzing. Well, not really. We're not bees. Mr. Klutz stepped up to the microphone and made the shut up peace sign with his fingers. Everybody stopped talking. Welcome to the elementary school science fair, Mr. Klutz announced. Blah, 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 young future scientists, blah, 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 unlock the secrets of the universe, blah, 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 blah. Thank Dr. Snow for organizing, blah, 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 blah. Our special guest, Mrs. Elementary, blah, 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 blah. He went on like that for 1,100,000 minutes. What a snooze fest. Finally, he stopped talking. Let the science fair begin, announced the snowman. AJ, start things off. Andrea, you can warm up your volcano now. Sure thing, we said. I flipped the switches on the remote control. The rotors of my drone started to spin. The drone rose up in the air and over everybody's head. What a great idea, said Peter Porky. This could be a good way to deliver Porky's pork sausages. Red hot lava started to bubble up at the top of Andrea's volcano. Ooh, ah, everybody oohed and ahed. Neil, show us how your catapult works, said the snowman. Neil put a marshmallow on a spoon and pulled the spoon back. Then he let it go, and the marshmallow went flying. That's when the weirdest thing in the history of the world happened. Neil's marshmallow hit one of the rotors on my drone. The drone started spinning and flying crazily. Watch out, somebody shouted. My drone swooped down and knocked out Michael's fizz inflator. The fizz inflator fell on top of Alexa's exploding lunch bag. It exploded. That set up Ryan's pasta rocket, which flew up and knocked out another one of the rotors on my drone. The drone was zooming all over the place. People were diving for cover. It's out of control, shouted Andrea. Run for your lives, shouted Neil. Call 911, somebody shouted. That's when something even weirder happened. I love it, shouted the snowman, rubbing his hands together. It's all going according to plan. I'm going to take over the world. See, I told you he was crazy. I said to Andrea. I knew he would show his true colors, said Alexia. Footnote. Anytime somebody says "blah-ha-ha-ha" while they're laughing, you know they're crazy. Normal people never say "blah-ha-ha-ha." That's the first rule of being normal. My drone was hovering right above Andrea's volcano. Release the sausages, AJ, shouted Mr. Klutz. Your drone is too heavy. It's going to crash and hurt somebody. I flipped a switch that made the Porky Port sausages slide off the bottom of the drone. The sausages dropped right into the middle of Andrea's volcano. Oh no, shouted Andrea. Arlo, you ruined my science project. The volcano was full of dangerous chemicals, shouted Andrea's father. It's gonna blow, somebody yelled. Next thing we knew, six pork sausages came flying out of the volcano. One of them hit Elementary when she fell down. I'm being attacked with food again, she yelled. Oh, my leg! One of the flying sausages was about to hit Mr. Klutz on the head, but he dived out of the way and crashed into our vice principal, Mrs. Jaffe. The two of them fell on the table, and the table collapsed under their weight. Everybody was yelling and screaming and hooting and hollering and freaking out. Yes, 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 shouted the snowman. It's all part of my master plan. I will rule the world. Bwah-ha-ha-ha-ha. Nothing can stop me. Bwah-ha-ha-ha-ha. I heard a siren outside. Uh-oh, said the snowman as he headed for the door. I must escape to my secret lab and conduct evil experiments. Not so fast, Buster, shouted Mrs. Mentry. She stuck out one of her crutches and tripped the snowman with it. Galileo tackled him and wrestled him to the ground. Let him go, shouted the snowman. I must take over the world. Hold that man, shouted Mrs. Mentry. First he attacked me with eggs and now pork sausages. That's the last straw. Why is she always talking about straws? You'd think that the school would just buy some extra straws so we wouldn't be running out of them all the time. At that moment, the outside doors opened and four guys wearing white coats came running in. Who's in charge here? One of them shouted. Our principal and vice principal were unconscious under the table they fell on. I'm in charge, said Mrs. Mentry. My name is Elementary. The school was named after me. We got a report that some mad scientist was trying to take over the world, the guy in the white coat said. Here's your man, Mrs. Mentry said, pointing to the snowman. Take him away, boys. Well, that's pretty much what happened. We never did find out who won the science fair. The men in white coats carried the snowman out to an ambulance and drove away. When it was all over, Mrs. Mentry recovered and donated $1 million to build the elementary hospital for frizzy-haired mad scientists who rub their hands together and want to take over the world. Maybe next time we'll have a plain old fair with cotton candy, rides, and stuffed animals. Maybe we'll throw eggs off the roof of the school again. Maybe a meteorite will crash through the window and knock over Mr. Cooper. Maybe we'll get some dolphins in the all-porpoise room. Maybe the snowman will stick his head to the wall. Maybe Elementary will be attacked by flying food again and demand to get her money back. Maybe grown-ups will stop saying, now, now, and there. Maybe Michael will invent anti-gravity underwear. But it won't be easy. So there we shared the book for the past 2 weeks of a chapter book called Dr. Snow Has Got to Go. Now, the cool part about this is there's a lot of these books. This is from a series of books called My Wierder-est School, which includes Dr. Floss is Boss, Ms. Blake is a flake. And that is just one series. There are 5 books in this series, but there was the original Weird book series. There were 21 books in that. And then there's a series called My Weird Days. There are 12 books. My Wierder-est School, and then My Wierder-est School, and then this is My Wierder-est School. And here's another one. This is called Mrs. Dole is Out of Control. This is just from the Weird School days. So there are several different series written by the author, Dan Gutman, and the pictures are all done by a man named Jim Paylott. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed that. And be sure to come into the library. You can check these out at your local library, Fairview, Mannington, or the main library. We can run these out to you and your car with our curbside pickup, or these can also be downloaded as well, and you can view them on using one of our online resources. Thank you for joining me today. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.